One of the funny things that we do is this automatic assumption that what is bad and what is good. But we never question what makes good good and bad bad, and who decides what is good and what is bad. We just take it for granted, not realizing that sort of these decisions make up how we perceive the entire world and our presumptions about things and us, ourselves, and other people. And it's this theme of how we cling to the positive and try to push away and to defeat the negative. It's this wanting wealth and then avoiding poorness, wanting strength, so to avoid weakness. All of these polarities, we tend to choose the positive, and the negative we deny. But we don't see that the very denial of the negative side is what is preventing us from attaining the positive. And that sounds completely contradictory. But it's this idea that when you feel small, that's when you want to be big. And it's when you feel weak, that's when you want to be strong. So the desires are created out of insecurity, because we're so attached to one label, one pole, that we are so identified with it that we have to get it at all costs. And then is this realization that what you are is what you're trying to get rid of. And your very effort of trying to get rid of something or to attain something is in itself the reason why you don't have it. And I think about how it's really the same thing as what all these different people have been saying, whether that's Taoist philosophy, Buddhist, all these Eastern traditions, or Western psychoanalysis. Jung was known for coining this term called integrating the shadow. And what all of that is about really is the same thing as the yin and yang, as is getting out of the wheel of samsara in Buddhism. It's the same thing. It's realizing that, what's that Solzhenitsyn quote, that the line dividing good and evil cuts down the middle of the heart of every man and woman. And both good and evil are innate to all of us, but we make this, we're so ignorant of our own nature that we think that we are wholly identified with good and have nothing to do with evil. You know what Hitler thought? Right? You know what Stalin thought? You think about all of the atrocities, mass horrors, all of these committed throughout history. And Do you really think that those perpetuators believed they were evil? Quite the contrary. They thought they were doing the world a service. And so it's that attachment. It's that attachment because you become tunnel visioned into your own idea of what good is. And you insist on the world. That's the way it must be. Why do you think left and right politics exist? The left think they're right, and then the right think they're right. Not realizing that by pushing away the innate evil, the innate bum in one's own self, and projecting that onto an opponent, a scapegoat, that in itself is what has created violence, wars, all of these things throughout history. It's self-hatred. That's what it is. Because you know what self-love is? People think self-love is total acceptance. It's not. It is total acceptance, but it's not. What I mean is that you can't try to accept what you don't accept. And so by trying to accept something you don't accept, you are not accepting it. And it really is this paradox where as long as you're for or against anything, you're going to either try to deny or try to accept. But you see, both of those things, neither of them are true acceptance. And so this idea of love is a totally misunderstood thing, because people think that love is complete acceptance. But then they go on and try to accept everything, which is not acceptance, because if you accepted whatever, then you wouldn't have to try to. And it's in the same way that we become so attached to the positive pole, to like labels of power, strength, and then we're so disgusted by weakness and hatred. But we don't see that the disgust of hatred is hatred itself. So can you accept your disgust of hatred? And that's where you find love. In your acceptance of your disgust of hatred. And so once you understand this, you realize that you can't divide the world into left and right. You can't divide the world into big and small, strong and powerful, because the division itself is what is causing all the conflict and all the turmoil. It really is an inner conflict that projects itself outward, and in the name of good, atrocities are committed. But it starts at the individual level. It's this schizophrenia of division, of splitting one into two. because then there's a us and a them. And so really the path to reconciliation at both the individual and the collective level is to become whole again. And how you become whole is through love. But people have been trying to love. They've been going about love in the wrong way. They think that love is trying to love, but love is being able to accept that you do not love a particular thing or circumstance, rather than propagating this false idea that, oh, I'm compassionate, I'm universally compassionate, I love everyone, everything. You see this in 2022 politics. Like, it's the SJWs, and like, it's so absurd to me, because the same pattern just repeats itself and repeats itself through history. In the name of compassion. Like, look at, is it really compassion? Really? And so we have to become whole again, and the way to do that is to reconcile with the evil in our own hearts, and to see that good and bad is innate to every single one of us, and that we need to stop making this fundamental differentiation between good and bad, because it is this very differentiation that splits us and makes us, first of all, conflicted internally, which then projects externally. Realize that you're already whole, because by definition, both the good and the bad is a part of you, and it's only your denial of one of them that has taken you out of your wholeness. And it's just a matter of reconciling with the part of you that you've denied for so long, and to realize you were already whole to begin with. It's just that you push the other side away. So you're simultaneously the good person, and at the same time you're a scum. And it's being okay with either of those, because you are both of those, and that they're not separate as two entities, two separate things, but that they're the same thing. And that's when you come back to, that's called full acceptance. And that's wholeness. And when you don't have a problem with yourself, you don't have a problem with others. You don't project your problems onto them and make it their problem. That's really all it is. So if you enjoyed this little discussion, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.